In the movie, Pearl dreams of becoming a dancer, but faces strong rules from her mother and her own troubles. When she gets a chance to audition, her obsession makes her do dangerous things. How far will Pearl go for her dream? The movie is set in 1918, near the end of World War I. At the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Pearl, a girl living in Texas with her parents. Though originally from Germany, they had moved to Texas because Pearl's husband was fighting in the war. Pearl's father was paralyzed and unable to move, while her mother managed the house and farm. Pearl's mother often told her that, as their only daughter, she had to look after the farm and her father. Pearl loved theater and secretly watched performances whenever she could. She also dreamed of becoming a dancer but faced constant rejection from her mother, who wanted her to focus on the farm and her sick father. Because of this conflict with her mother, Pearl was troubles, and it led her to harm the farm animals and upset her father. She struggled with addiction to cigarettes, alcohol, and drugs, and felt very lonely. To cope with everything, she read letters from her husband. Somehow, Pearl managed to find a balance between her work and her passion. After finishing her farm chores, she would go to watch theater. One day, she met the theater director, who found her very attractive. He spoke to Pearl and learned that she loved dancing and wanted to be a dancer. The director offered her a free ticket to a show, but Pearl shyly declined, saying she would come later. The director encouraged her, saying she could become a great dancer, and gave her a film reel. Pearl mentioned her husband was away at war before heading home. Feeling happy, she went to her fields and danced with the scarecrow, which is a human-shaped figure used to scare away birds. She moved the scarecrow and danced with it as if it were a real partner. She became completely lost in the dance. Her mental state seemed to be getting worse because her obsession with dancing made her lose touch with reality. When she returned home late, her mother was very angry at her because she was late. During dinner, her mother noticed that Pearl had spent where her favorite dance was performed. The next day, Pearl's sister-in-law, who was American and looked very elegant in a church in 2 days. Many girls would dance and the best ones would be selected to tour 7 cities. Pearl was excited and thrilled and wanted to go to the audition and show off her dance skills. Her husband's sister mentioned that she was also going for auditions but hadn't told anyone. Pearl expressed her desire to audition as well. The sister agreed, but asked Pearl to keep it secret. Pearl was thrilled about the chance to fulfill her dream. That night, she visited the theater and met with the director. She told him she felt unsure about dancing in front of people since she had never done it before. The director encouraged her, saying he believed she would do well. To boost her confidence, he showed her a film that was usually not allowed in theaters because it was considered illegal and not appropriate for children. He advised her to always pursue her dreams and do whatever it took to achieve them. Pearl said they needed her. After saying this, she went home and looked at pictures of her husband, feeling very lonely. She thought about how much she needed him and began to think that her family was stopping her dream. She even hoped something would happen to them, and they would die. The next day, she took her dad to the lake, where there was a crocodile. It looked like she planned to push him into the lake to let the crocodile eat him. But her mom arrived just in time. She had always been suspicious of Pearl and knew she could do strange things, so she kept a close watch on her. Pearl's mom told her to leave the lake and return home with her dad. Later, at dinner, Pearl's mom found a film poster in Pearl's room. She knew Pearl had been secretly going to the theater and told her that she couldn't go anymore. At that time, attending the theater and dancing was seen as very wrong, even slapped her. During their fight, her mom's clothes caught fire. Pearl panicked and quickly put out the flames with hot water, but her mom was badly burned. Pearl dragged her mom to the basement and locked her in there. Pearl then went to the theater and found the director. Feeling alone, she hugged him, and they spent the night together. The next morning, as Pearl was leaving, they reached her house. Pearl invited the director inside. She told him she lived alone with her dad. She did not mention anything about her mother. She showed him her room and the rest of the house. The director was troubled to see the house very messy and scattered. He also heard knocking from the basement. Pearl said she had locked her dog there because it kept running away. The director asked about the dog's name, because he was suspicious about her answer. She then tried to distract him and took him to the shed and told him about the names of all of the animals. Pearl got scared and quickly got into his car to leave. However, Pearl came outside and stabbed him with a sharp shovel. He bled quickly and soon died. Pearl did this to prevent him from revealing her secrets. Next, she went to the basement and attacked her mom with a knife, killing her too. Her dad was very sad. Pearl had gathered for the audition. She met her husband's sister there, who told Pearl that only one girl from each city would be selected. When it was Pearl's turn, she danced with joy, but the judges didn't like her performance. They were looking for someone with an American look. They rejected her and told her to leave. Pearl begged and cried, pleading not to be removed. She said this was her dream and she had waited a long time for this chance. Despite her pleas, she was forced to leave. Outside, Pearl's husband's sister found her crying. She told Pearl to get up and go home. They returned home together, but Pearl was deeply sad, realizing that she had killed 3 people for an audition and was still rejected. Her husband's sister told her to take care of herself and that she was there to help her. She continued talking, encouraging Pearl to share her feelings and burdens. Pearl confessed that she no longer cared if her husband became a martyr in the war and that it did not matter anymore. This surprised her sister-in-law. Pearl then revealed that she had killed 3 people in her own house and was very sad about it. She hadn't realized the significance of those she killed, including her own family and friend. Her sister-in-law was very worried and afraid, knowing that Pearl had killed someone in her madness. Though scared, she tried to stay calm and keep her fear hidden, aware that Pearl might hurt her too, if she felt threatened. Pearl then guessed correctly that her sister-in-law had been chosen in the audition, as the judges wanted someone who looked a part of her reward. Pearl felt intense jealousy and frustration. Her dream, which led her to kill her family and director, seemed out of reach now. Her husband's sister was about to leave, which made Pearl very jealous. Pearl sneaked out and followed her, holding an axe. When her sister-in-law saw the axe, she became terrified and tried to escape. But Pearl chased her down and finally caught her. She attacked her with the axe and killed her. Afterward, Pearl sat at the table with her deceased mother and father. She placed their bodies in front of her, pretending they were still alive. She cried, feeling completely mad. She regretted the huge mistakes she had made in her obsession to achieve her dream. Her mother had always warned her not to dream too much and to be happy with what she had. Pearl had lost everything she once had, including her sanity, because of her dream. She now waited for her husband to return. When he arrived the next day, he was shocked to see the dead bodies of Pearl's parents on the table. Pearl greeted him with a